Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
Hold one. Andre.
You're not good at this. Get out. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon.
You just made the list.
Oh my God.
Sorry, no speak English.
Dummy. Goodbye and good night. Hold two. On bar.
It's still real to me, damn it.
Dummy.
This is the worst town I've ever been in.
Hold three. Lamas covered. Three-handle family Gradunzel.
Mamma mia.
And now, Unchained.media presents the B Plus Podcast with your host, Greg Unchained.
It's me, Austin. It was me all along, Austin.
Number 4, armbar.
I will never retire.
I still got 200 more. I got 200 more holes to list.
All right, ladies, gents, and non-binary friends, welcome to another B Plus podcast. I'm your host, Greg Unchained. Today is Friday. You know what that means. It's Aussie Grapps Day, our favorite day here on the B Plus podcast. It's the day we sit down and take a look at everything that's happening in the world of Australian professional wrestling. I also like to sit down and speak to an Aussie grappler or grappler adjacent person. This week, I'm going to sit down and talk to Violet Blitz ahead of ACW Evolve XXI, which takes place this weekend. I'm also going to let you know all the things that are happening this weekend near you, what sort of things you should watch, what sort of things you should listen to. But before I do, let's take a look at this week in Aussie Grapps news. All right, once again, I'm gonna try to keep things short. There's a lot of things happening in Australian professional wrestling, and I have decided to try to limit myself to 5 top stories. Count them, 5 top stories before we get into our interview. Starting, of course, with Aussie grapplers overseas. The Velocities have made their debut in the UK, taking BritRes by storm. They've had their first match in Attack Pro Wrestling, which is, I do believe, Pete Dunne and Co.'s promotion. And they had a match with Aussie Open, of course, some more of our guys over there, Kyle Fletcher, Mark Davis, and they tore the house down. Paris De Silva busted out the Shooting Star DDT on Mark Davis, which is amazing. It's gone viral a second time, which is great. The UK fans are really getting into them. They also showed up on Rev Pro. You can actually catch that on RPW On Demand. I haven't seen the Attack one myself. I've only seen GIFs and things, but I assume that it is up on the Attack On Demand service, but I'm not 100% familiar with Attack Pro Wrestling's offerings, so I do not know. But Rev Pro, RPWOnDemand.com, you can go there right now. You can check out live in Northampton. I think that's what it's called, Northampton, North Haverton. I don't know what it was. It was some North something. It's live in North something, and they made their debut there. They had a tag team match with Dan McGee and Curtis Chapman. They picked up the win there. They were very impressive. They're wearing new gear. You know, they got the whole Spartan spirit thing, so they're coming out dressed as Spartans. It's fantastic. I'm really into it. It's really good to see them killing it over there, and I hope they continue to kill it until such time that they decide to head back to our shores. I think they're over there for an entire month, but don't quote me on that. So, congratulations, Dude London, Paris De Silva, for absolutely destroying it overseas and just, you know, hashtag Now We Conquer. We actually got a Now We Conquer reference on it. The Rev Pro commentary team, Andy and Andy, they're really, really good. And yeah, PWA references, Now We Conquer references, everything. It's really good to see our guys just killing it overseas. Back home, though, World Series Wrestling have announced their next tour, Zero Fear, so you can guess who the headline act is going to be. It's taking place in June on the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd in Melbourne, and Sydney. Adrian actually showed up on Wrestle Radio Australia this week to kind of explain, you know, the reasoning behind Adelaide being left out, behind Perth being left out, behind Queensland being left out. It's just a matter of scheduling. It's a matter of venues. There's all sorts of things that go into these things, and I do understand that, but it's still really bummy to see that Melbourne and Sydney never have these issues, and it's only ever Adelaide, Perth, and Queensland that have these issues. I mean, Sydney's not a live event town anymore, you know, with all the new laws and stuff. So Adelaide has more of a live event scene than Sydney, I would dare to say. I mean, I know Sydney has a bigger population, and I'm sure Sydney has a bigger population of wrestling fans, but Adelaide, I mean, you know, we do well here with our live events. You know, Fringe, there's musicals and stuff here all the time. There's events all year round. We're a very cultural place, you know, not to the level of Melbourne. Melbourne are very much pre-sell lots of things, and you know, people are always out. I don't know if Melbourne have like a ridiculous amount of expendable income compared to the rest of the country. It seems that way because every person I know in Melbourne is like out for dinner every night. Like, it's freaking weird, man. Anyway, Melbourne, I don't understand Melbourne. I don't understand the culture in Melbourne. Melbourne confuses me, and I don't like it. I don't like it when it confuses me. I go to Melbourne, and, you know, there's no McDonald's anywhere, but there's like 5 vegan joints. What is this? Anyway, if you want to hear me rant about Melbourne, go back to episode 100, where we talked about the Super Showdown weekend. But World Series Wrestling are going to Melbourne. World Series Wrestling are going to Sydney, skipping everywhere else this time around. So far, announced for this tour, Pentagon Jr., Pentagon Dark, Pentagon L0M, Pentagon, you know the guy, Joey Janela, the bad boy. He was supposed to come a while ago but got injured, so he's making it up. He's coming out for this tour. Both announced, both All Elite Wrestling talents. So it's clearly a relationship of some sort there. 2 new names. These guys haven't been out on World Series Wrestling tours, so, you know, that's great. It's good to see them bringing out new names. I hope that they continue that with the new names. I've put it out there before into the universe. I'm going to put it out there again. I really want to see RJ City. I want to see RJ City and David Arquette. So maybe don't bring RJ City and David Arquette out for this one. Maybe bring them out for the next one. Unless you're going to have them win the tag titles off Villain Enterprises, which would be a good choice in my opinion. And then they can come back for the next one and come to Adelaide. I just want to see RJ City do the moves. But this is an Aussie Grapps cast and I'm getting carried away. So yeah, RJ City, David Arquette, Marco Stunt. I'd love to see Marco Stunt come out here. These are the kind of guys that can make a difference as well in the tours here, because, you know, I'm seeing a lot of comments about, you know, just don't bring Austin Aries back, don't bring Brian Cage back, don't bring Flip Gordon back. They've been here too much. I personally disagree with that. I think that you have a core of guys you build a promotion around. It doesn't hurt to see those guys all the time. I see the same people at Adelaide Championship Wrestling every month. I see the same people at Riot City Wrestling every month. I see the same people at Wrestle Rampage every month, but I still go. Yes, tickets are cheaper, but it's a promotion. You go to watch the wrestling, you go to watch the stories, you go to see what plays out based on what's happened before. That's what you do. That's what wrestling is. It's an episodic thing. And I get the World Series Wrestling is different because it's a touring promotion, but yeah, you can't always be bringing out different names. So, I mean, I don't think it would hurt to have Austin Aries and, you know, maybe Brian Cage sit this one out, much like Johnny Impact has sat out a few of them. I don't think it would hurt. But, you know, all those people who are, you know, ranting about, you know, you need to have different names. Yeah, you do need to have different names, but it's not bad to have Austin Aries on every single tour. It's really not. Plus, isn't World Series Wrestling like the only place still booking Austin Aries? I don't know. I don't see that guy anywhere anymore. So, I don't know. It's good seeing him get work. He is a very effective heel. Looking more at local companies, though. I mean, I know World Series Wrestling is a local company, but you know what I mean. Local companies that are primarily local, that train local, that have schools local. PWA, Pro Wrestling Australia up in Sydney, sold out Max Watts for Wahlberg vs. UGG last week. Big achievement. I think we're probably going to see more sellouts moving forward because the fan base that PWA are building are passionate, and when people go, they are converted and they want to go back. It's always been that way with PWA, but since taking over Max Watts, man, it has amplified that vibe so much. So yeah, sellout, big achievement. I think we're going to see more of them moving forward. I wouldn't be surprised if PWA have to start looking for a bigger venue pretty soon. Big show venue for, you know, a few shows here and there is a logical next step, and then you can move into that venue once you're consistently selling out. Coliseum tickets are already on sale. That doesn't take place till October, but they're on sale now, and so are the tickets for PWA's next show on May 10th, Once Upon a Time in Max Watts, featuring special guests Millie McKenzie and Session Moth Martina. I'm imagining that both of these are going to sell out, both the Coliseum and Once Upon a Time in Max Watts. Coliseum is going to have a lot of people traveling in for it. I'll definitely be coming up. I know that On the Turnbuckle guys from over in Melbourne are looking to come up. Mr. Mysterious over in Perth, he's looking to come over. You know, I know some other people from Perth, some other people from Melbourne, people from Tasmania. I know people all around the place that are making the trip for this Coliseum tournament. Jordan, who runs the Ozres Gifts account, you know, he's flying over from the freaking UK. He's coming. He's doing a whole tour. He's going to stop in every state, but he's lined it up with Coliseum so that he can see the Coliseum tournament. So he's flying over from the UK to go to these shows. So if Coliseum doesn't sell out, I will be very, very surprised. Tickets are already on sale. They're doing fairly well. They're also doing an Enter the Coliseum Fan Fest, which sounds amazing. Bonza was talking about it on the Turnbuckle. They're looking to have, beer pong set up. They're looking to have like video games and stuff. It looks amazing. Enter the Coliseum Fan Fest taking part as part of this 2-day Coliseum extravaganza. Really looking forward to that. I touched on the special guests there for Once Upon a Time in Max Watts. Something I don't know if I talked about last week, because like I said, I've had a rough couple of weeks, but it's something I'm not sure I've talked about yet, but it's been announced for a while now. On that same weekend, May 10th, 11th, 12th, MCW are holding a girl show, so it's GIRL, Glow in Real Life. They have now rebranded to just Girl, and of course, Millie McKenzie has been announced for that, and Session Moth Martina is headed our way the night before the girl show, the night after Max Watts. So May 10th, they're in Max Watts. May 11th, there's a Melbourne City Wrestling show taking place in conjunction with Moondog Brewery as part of Melbourne's Good Beer Week. So Avery and Session Moth Martina are going to face off in a brewery. Let that sink in. This is an absolute dream match. These are two of the messiest individuals in the world of independent professional wrestling, and they are going to be facing off in a brewery? It's marketed as a family-friendly event. That does not sound family-friendly. Avery and Session Moth Martina, the leader of the session, and they're facing off in a brewery? There is no way that ends well. There is no way that ends in a family-friendly way. It's Session Moth Martina and Avery. They are going to get into some nasty shit, I imagine. It's a no-holds-barred match from what I read as well. So it's a dream match for anyone involved in women's wrestling. Session Moth Martina and Avery. It's going to be amazing. I'm hoping that Session Moth and Harley Wonderland and the Babes interact as well when she's in Sydney. But, if it wasn't Mother's Day weekend, I would be bankrupting myself to get to Melbourne for this weekend. Like, these shows look amazing, and they've only got that one announcement, really, but it looks like I would pay for this weekend 110%. But unfortunately, it's Mother's Day. What are you doing putting a show on Mother's Day, guys? Come on. Big stories, though, coming out of last week. The big Hunter Valley Wrestling show, the doubleheader weekend with James Storm, of course, coming over from the United States. That saw new champions crowned. Vinny Vane outlasted 5 other men to become the inaugural Elite Champion. Wasn't without help, though. He had an insurance policy in the form of Lucius Wolf. So we'll see how that plays into things moving forward. You got to imagine with a guy like Lucius Wolf in his corner, he will be holding that title for quite a while. Slade Mercer had a big weekend, defeating the Cowboy James Storm and Damian Slater in triple threat action before unsuccessfully challenging for his 4th major title in as many companies. But the real winner of the weekend, of course, was the real wrestler, the Grand Slam champion, the most winningest EPW champion in history, and new Hunter Valley Wrestling champion, Gavin McMotherfucking-Gavin, continuing his Gavin vs. Australia tour, just absolutely killing it everywhere he goes. He is now 2 belts Gavin McGavin, taking that Hunter Valley Wrestling title home to EPW. Gold Rush is coming up. Every title is on the line, so he's going to be looking to come out of that one with 2 titles. He's going in with 2 titles. He's going to be looking to come out with 2 titles as well. Someone else who has been killing it everywhere they go, and I've talked about him a lot in the last few weeks because, of course, he's been doing the 21st Century Success Story series leading into his big match against Caveman Ugg last weekend. Matty Wahlberg. He walked out of last weekend, even though he did not win the title, he walked out of last weekend a big winner. Both he and Caveman Ugg looked like $1 million. He had a huge entrance. It had the big fight feel. No one can say anymore. No one can say, myself included, Big Boy Mikey included, I'm sure. We're going to do... I've watched the show now. It's out. It's released on pwaplay.com. So I have watched the show. And it will... Me and Mikey will be sitting down tomorrow to do a review cast of the show. And I think that we'll both agree that no one can say now that Caveman Ugg has not had a good run. with the title. Because I think that's what a lot of people were feeling, that Caveman Ugg had not had a good run and that they wanted Matty to take it so that he could have this amazing run. But realistically, he's going overseas in a month, so it makes sense that he's not going to get it here. He's going to come back stronger. He's going to do what he needs to do to finally redeem himself and get that title. Hopefully against a still reigning Caveman Ugg, who probably by then will have defended against Mick Moretti, Jack Bonza, and had an actual real title run, which this is the start of. This is the start of the Caveman Ugg reign, realistically. They had to build contenders. They've built contenders. And now he shows us what he can do. And I mean, look, this match was incredible. We'll talk about it on the review cast tomorrow, but I was on the edge of my seat. It had a big fight feel. The drama in the match was palpable. I knew who was going to win because obviously I'd posted the results to the website when Mikey sent them through to me, but even knowing, like, I was still on the edge of my seat, like, how are they going to get to this? How is this going to happen? When I was fooled, I got worked. Like, I know what the result is because I've posted the results to the site, but then when they do that double down and they get to the 9 count, I'm like, holy crap, this is it. But it wasn't it. It was an amazing match. Very, very well put together. It's right up there, actually, with me. I've put it on my list, on my short list of matches to rewatch at the end of the year come awards time, because it is right up there with that Moretti and Bonza match from the first one. It was such a good match. Caveman Ugg killed it. Matty Wahlberg killed it. Both of these guys, huge winners, people to watch moving forward. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they come back around. And the promo that Matty Wahlberg cut after the match was straight fire. It's definitely making my what to watch list this week. He talked about what's he gonna have to do to. You just got to watch the promo, and it's straight fire. Everything this guy does is money, and credit to Matty Wahlberg. Credit to Matty Wahlberg and the crew putting together the documentary series that he did and everything, because that build-up made everyone frothing at the mouth for this Matty Wahlberg win. And then when he didn't win, you know what that does? That makes Caveman Ugg a huge fucking deal. And everyone going into this show was saying Caveman Ugg is nothing. Because that's what Matty Wahlberg's saying, right? He's nothing. He's doing nothing. What's he doing? Right? And what he's doing is quietly getting ready and beating the shit out of Matty Wahlberg and giving him everything he's got and taking him to the absolute limits of what he can do before being able to put him away. I mean, we saw Caveman Ugg pull out a Phoenix Splash, for crying out loud. Matty Wahlberg and all the effort he went into building this match made Caveman Ugg look like a superstar and a champion. And that's a credit to Matty Wahlberg. It really is. And now Matty Wahlberg's going to head over to Fale Dojo, and he's my pick for Coliseum, man. If he's not in Coliseum, I complain online. And if he doesn't win Coliseum, I complain online. He's got to be he's got to come back. He's got to win Coliseum. He's got to take that sword, whatever sword it's going to be. They said in the announcement, sword will be announced shortly. So there's going to be a new sword, and we can possibly see a sword fight with the winner of this year's Coliseum and Mick Moretti. It's amazing. I love PWA. Everything PWA are doing right now, they are killing it, firing on all cylinders, and I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, Matty Wahlberg, at this point in the game, Matty Wahlberg's my pick for Coliseum winner 2019. I'm calling it now. Calling it nice and early. And I'll probably be completely wrong, like I am with every prediction I make with PWA. But that does it for the news this week. I said 5 stories. I'm pretty sure I stuck to 5. I don't even know. I've just been talking. This is what happens when you leave me alone with a microphone. Let's go and have a listen to the interview that I did this week. I sat down with Violet Blitz from Adelaide Championship Wrestling, and the Purge's most violent doll, as I've taken to calling her. She's a terrifying individual, but just so nice. It's ridiculous. Let's have a listen to the interview with Violet Blitz, and then after the break, I'll hit you up with what you should watch over the next week, what you should listen to over the next week, and of course, what shows you can get to this weekend. But first, let's have a listen to the interview.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey guys, just a reminder, if you want to hear all of these wonderful B Plus podcast episodes completely ad-free, make sure you head over to Patreon or Podbean, where we are the featured podcast this week. You can subscribe for as little as $1 a month up to $10 a month, where anything you want to help us with, it really helps out. It's going to help us grow the site. It's going to help us redesign some things, and everything that we get through this and through the advertising as well is all going straight back into the podcast so that we can get Aussie Grapps out there for the rest of the world to hear about, for the rest of the world to see, so we can grow this mission of watch global, support local, and build indie wrestling. So if you want to be a part of that and get some really cool rewards like call-in shows, bonus episodes, ad-free like I mentioned, then head over to patreon.com/theb+ and subscribe today. Hey everyone, just want to take a second to tell you about one of our new sponsors, Outbreak Nutrition. Outbreak Nutrition are creating supplements for survival, sharper minds, quicker reflexes, all the energy you need to take your performance to the next level, whether that be on the field, in the gym, on the gaming field. That's right, they have specifically designed gaming supplements as well to help you focus on those late night sessions. They even sell coffee, you guys, at Outbreak Nutrition. You can get coffee pods, you can get coffee beans, you can get supplements for the bedroom as well if you want to enhance your performance there. These are performance enhancing supplements for every aspect of your life, specifically designed by gamers, for gamers, to stay fit and healthy in the gym, to stay sharp and focused on the game, and to dominate in all areas of life. So check out outbreaknutrition.com, and for being a listener of our podcast, they will give you 10% off your order when you enter the code B+. That is BPLUS at checkout. So make sure, if you want to stay on top of your game, if you want to take your performance to the next level, outbreaknutrition.com, enter the code B+ at checkout. Alright, joining me now, she is a member of the Purge. She is the Purge's most violent doll. I coined that name on social media. That was me. Violet Blitz, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. And how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm well. I am well. It's this is an unusual time for me to be recording. I don't do many morning interviews, so it's a
Yeah, well, it's hard to get schedules lined up properly.
yeah.
Because we're all busy.
I know, right? And normally, we're in the same state, so normally I would like to do this kind of interview sort of sitting down so I can see your face and we can talk. But we had to, just because of schedules and everything, we had to get it done over the phone, which is always
Yeah. Your
it's
least favourite, as you mentioned to me.
Yeah, well, come on, pull back the curtain. What are you doing? I'm not a huge
I
fan.
just like to be difficult.
I'm not a huge fan of the phone interviews, but it's all right. It's fine.
Yeah.
We do what we got to do. But let's jump into it, man. Adelaide Championship Wrestling. That's where you've kind of made your home, yeah.
Yes. I really enjoy ACW. We're a family. Training's great. They just kind of embraced who I am as a person.
Yeah, I love ACW, man. It's a real family atmosphere. Like, it feels, and everyone's super supportive. But how long have you been wrestling? Did you start training at ACW, or because I know you did some stuff with PWSA as well? So where did you start? How did you get into the wacky world of professional wrestling?
Well, I started out filming and doing photography for PWSA. Did that a few years ago. I think 2017.
Right, I was going to say 2006. What? We're talking about
high
school.
Yeah. So that's going way back. No, I haven't been involved for that long.
No.
And then I had ACW guys come and approach me and be like, "Oh, we really like your photography. Could you come do some shows for us?" So I did that for a while as well. And, just being on the sidelines, I was like, kind of started getting a bit of an itch. I wanted to see what it was like.
Right.
So I went along to a training night just to suss it out and decided that I wanted to sign up.
Yeah. Also, so I feel like that happens a lot. Like, people that are around on the periphery will eventually be like, I reckon I'm going to get in the ring, because you get bitten by that bug.
Yeah, it's like, I want to, kick people's asses. I want to beat them up.
Yeah. Yeah, because wrestling's a really empowering thing too. Like, I feel like just from talking to a lot of people who are in the industry, I find that there's a lot of us with social anxiety and all that sort of stuff. And so being able to get in there and like you said, kick some ass, it can be...
Yeah, and also I've noticed that especially women, they've come from abusive relationships as well. Whether that's physical or emotional, it's kind of getting in the ring as a way to take that power back as well.
Yeah, which is it's actually kind of a really interesting dynamic that's sort of at play. But I've noticed it a lot.
Yeah, I think it's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, so you talked about it. So you started out filming wrestling. So you've done filming for Pro Wrestling South Australia, Adelaide Championship Wrestling, Iron Fist Pro.
Mhm.
Does it give you an
Yep.
extra insight or like perspective? Does it change how you view things, like on either side of the camera as a performer now that you've been in the ring when you're filming? Does it change how you film and vice versa?
Well, having a background in acting and all that sort of stuff, you kind of, the goal is to find the, the facial expressions and learning where people are going to move, so you follow that as well. I think that's probably the best thing I've been able to do, is to be able to tell a story through the camera. Rather than just filming moves, it's about getting the people's characters and all that sort of stuff.
Right. And so when you get in the ring and you're training with the actual wrestling and learning how to put together a match, has that sort of changed the way you film?
I don't think so.
Okay. Fair enough. So it's sort of like it's a skill that's taught across both crafts, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's something that you kind of already brought to the table. So did that help you in learning how to put together a match, like vice versa, the other way around?
I think it's rather than the camera, it's about the audience. So at ACW, it's kind of, a theatre style where it's facing the front, so you have to learn to be able to work so that they can see everything. At least if you've got a camera, you can move around the whole ring.
Yeah. And so you're working, yes, you're working to the hard cam kind of thing, because you've got, the ACW arena, the way it's set up, the audience is literally just on one side of the ring. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. I think it's more the ref needs to know where the hard cam is, because there have been many times they literally stand in front of the hard cam and you miss a whole bunch of like cool action, which is really frustrating. That can I get frustrated, like, as a fan, just sort of sitting in the front or second row or whatever and having the ref get in the way, or camera people as well. Camera people get in the way. You guys do it. You yourself, you tend to get pretty low, and I know Digital Beard over in Melbourne, he likes to get low. Yeah, that's, you see some people with the camera, they're almost standing up on the ring trying to get the action, which is well and good, but you shouldn't be seen.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. It's just kind of an extension of, I guess that's the wrong way to describe it.
Well, it's like a good referee, right? Like you sort of blend into the background and only pop to the fore when it's needed.
Yeah.
But I guess a camera person, you don't really ever need to see the camera person.
No.
So,
that's why you wear dark colours and just be a ninja.
Yeah. I like it in Progress. I've heard that the camera people who work Progress, they wear shirts that say, "Can't see, sorry about that. Sign up to demandprogress.com." So they're pitching the on-demand service. Good. Yeah, it's amazing. So maybe we need to get some of those for some of our local companies.
Yeah. Yep. I think it helps that I'm really small as well.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah.
So in terms of like all the online streaming services, like Progress have it and stuff, and some of the Australian ones do it. Are you involved in the editing side and stuff as well, and getting things up?
Yeah, I film. My partner also does a lot of the filming for ACW as well.
Right.
Since I got into the ring, obviously I can't film it anymore.
Yeah. Especially with your character, lest the crowd be just hurling abuse at you.
Exactly. It's great that they want to beat me up and they want the dudes to just knock my head off, basically. That's great.
but it would not be conducive to good filming.
No.
Well, let's.
So yeah, I do a lot of the editing. So pretty much I do all the promos, get the matches together. The goal is for ACW to have matches and shows put up online. Yeah. That's kind of one of the goals they're trying to work towards.
Yeah, and I noticed that like you guys did the live stream with the last show. I mean, I was at the show, but the match with, was it Loverboy versus Cruiser? And
yes,
yeah, and that match went out live, which was awesome. I love seeing more of that stuff from companies. Yeah.
It's good. It's good promotion as well. And people always ask, "Oh, we want to see matches and all of that." But it's just about finding the right platform to put it on. whether to charge for it or not. Just those sorts of things.
Well, that's it, right? Because ACW is kind of a growing company, and like you guys have found like a real. I mean, even when I say it's a family atmosphere, like that includes the audience. Like the audience are a real part of ACW. It's a cool experience going to ACW shows. I enjoy it a lot, but is that something that ACW are conscious of, like being that they're a growing company, but still trying to be on the forefront of that kind of thing?
Yeah, well, we try to maintain our family-friendly thing. It seems to be a bit of a niche market in regards to wrestling. We try not to swear too much. We try not to have too much blood and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So it keeps people coming to our shows.
Yeah. But then you guys are terrifying. Like your little purge group that you're in. So let's talk about Violet Blitz, the character.
Yeah, sure.
What goes into that? Because you're creepy as hell when you come out. Yeah. Like, you're such a nice girl, but when you come out and you've got the doll mask on and the hood up, and it's terrifying.
Yeah. Oh, good. That's the aim. That's what we're trying to achieve. Yeah, just trying to come up with that character. It came about where Max Profit, our manager, he came in with this baby mask that I wear. He was thinking, I was thinking of wearing this. I was like, oh my God, I want that mask. And he's like, okay, cool, you can have it. And then because I make my own costumes as well, I kind of based it around that mask.
Right.
And that's how the character came about.
So the mask came first, and then you sort of built around that.
Yeah, built the costume and the character came out of that. Right.
And so what is Violet Blitz? Because, like I said, I characterized her, like, just when because people know this, I do the social media stuff, like the Instagram stories and whatnot. And, I characterized you as the Purge's most violent doll. Are you literally a doll? What's going on there? It's creepy. I don't know how to explain it.
Well, I think we were trying to go for an angle where I would be called Baby Doll. That never really eventuated, but, you think of dolls, you think of children and all those horror movies where they, with those, the creepy little girls and all of that. We just kind of based it off of that.
Right, it's like the come out and play kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because I noticed that, like, at ringside...
Want to play a game?
I noticed at ringside, like, when I find your most entertaining work is when you're at ringside, and just the facial expressions you pull, and like, it pulls me into the match. Like, I'm just like... And, again, I can't express this enough. You are terrifying for such a small individual.
That's good. I'm glad that that's getting portrayed.
But how did the Purge come about? Because the Purge pre-existed Violet Blitz, right?
Yes, they did. A few years ago, can't quite remember who was in it, but Isaac Bailey kind of maintained it somehow, and then tried to get Jesse involved. But Jesse Hendy didn't want to get involved, and so it just kind of, I kind of needed to be with somebody in order for me to develop and grow my, my wrestling and my character as well, because I was just kind of like the generic heel when I first debuted. So this really helped me to kind of come out of my shell and develop my character.
Yeah, well, it happened real quick, because, like, from the first show I saw you were, like you said, and I think I saw you in, was it your debut match for ACW? The first one that I went to?
That would have been with, Riley?
Yeah, and you were kind of like just the generic heel, just like there wasn't a lot to the character. Because I remember asking you, I remember being like, "What is the character?" And you were like, "We're still working that out." But then all of a sudden, you're coming out in the creepy doll getup, and kids are screaming, and and I'm like super into it. It happened really quick.
Yeah, it did. But I'm kind of glad for that. I'd rather, be forced into something that will help me grow faster than just kind of, chug along being like, I have no idea who I am. I'm just a female wrestler and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, because like coming from an acting background, right? Like you want a character you can sink your teeth into.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And tell us about the acting background. How has that sort of helped in learning wrestling?
Well, I did a lot of like amateur theatre. So I used to obviously be on stage. You learn about blocking and where to stand and about voice projection and all that sort of stuff. So I did a few pantomimes, which is basically wrestling. Overacting, costumes and all that sort of stuff. So that's kind of, thankfully I've had that experience to be able to put into wrestling.
Yeah. And it translates, like, is it, like, what are the differences between the stage and the squared circle, say?
There actually isn't a lot. Theatre, is very different to acting on film. With film, you don't have to project your voice and, you have to kind of stand closer together in film, where in theatre you have to be big and flamboyant almost, which is exactly like what you have to do in wrestling.
Right, play to the cheap seats.
So that everybody can see you.
Yeah, so you're like, I remember, because I used to do like musicals and stuff, and they were always like, you're playing to the people in the very back, like at all moments.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And so that's
right.
That's kind of the same in wrestling. And you guys have gone from, like, you hold your ACW Academy shows, which, I mean, that place, I don't even know how many people fit in there, like maybe 70 to 100, somewhere in that vicinity.
Yeah, about 100.
It's pretty small.
Yeah, it is. It's tiny.
But it gets packed.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that we're starting to get more people coming along, so eventually we will have to move.
Yeah. Yeah, move into a bigger academy space even. That'd be nice. More room for... Because you guys already have 2 rings in there. It's insane.
Yes. Trying to put up that second ring is a real pain, though.
but back to the initial question, though. Going from, like, so you have the smaller crowd there, and then obviously playing at the Estonian. You're wrestling, 300, 400 people fitting in that place. So I imagine that's where the theatre stuff comes in real handy, right?
Yeah. Just wrestling in front of a bigger crowd, it's such a bigger buzz. You feel like your performance is better because you've got all those people watching and, the adrenaline kicks in and, like, you feel like you have to perform really well. So you put on an awesome performance.
Yeah, that Estonian Hall crowd too, they get loud.
Yeah. Yeah, they get right into it, which is good. As a wrestler, you kind of want those people to be yelling at you or cheering you on. So yeah, it's really difficult, when the fans are just not giving you anything. They're just sitting there staring at you and you just don't know what to do, in a way.
Yeah.
So it's good when they're yelling at you and cheering you on and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we try and encourage that.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been to an ACW show where there's fans sitting on their hands. The ACW crowd are quite vocal.
Oh yes, they're a different breed.
Yeah, there's a couple of the front row faithfuls that really, really like to get in the faces of the heels, and it's very
yeah.
As a third row fan, it's very enjoyable to watch them. Like they're part of the show almost.
They get right into it, and it's great being able to get into their faces as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you know who I would love to see come to ACW because she's fantastic with crowd banter. Indy Hartwell. Have you seen much Indy Hartwell stuff?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, she gets right in people's faces. She's
constantly yelling stuff.
Yeah,
from the ring.
I feel like she would have a field day with, especially at the Estonian Hall crowd. Like it would be amazing to see.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So speaking of, wrestlers elsewhere, Indy Hartwells and other interstaters and what have you, do you have like a wish list? Do you have like a list of people like I need to put that person in a headlock? Is there?
Yeah, that's really hard. The goal is to start doing interstate stuff. And I think MCW is kind of the pinnacle of where I want to go in Australia. because it seems like they're trained really well. I've been to an MCW show. The crowd's huge. It would be amazing to just go over there and wrestle one of those guys or girls.
Yeah, I think a lot of people bring up MCW when you talk about interstate goals and stuff, and I feel like PWA doesn't get enough love from us when we talk about interstate. Like everyone I talk to here, when I talk about interstate, maybe it's because Melbourne's closer, but for me as a fan, like, and I love Melbourne City Wrestling, don't get me wrong, but I feel like PWA is the place to be, especially as yourself coming from ACW, where, you know, intergender wrestling is a big thing. You know, that happens in PWA more than it does in Melbourne City Wrestling. How is that, like, going from wrestling girls to wrestling guys? Is there a difference? You know, I mean, obviously you're pro intergender wrestling because you partake in it.
Yes. Yeah, because I trained so much with the guys, that's just natural. And now that Blair Valentine's come back and all of that, it's kind of weird wrestling a girl. So yeah, I wouldn't say there's a difference. It's just, I guess, that psychological thing.
Right. Just
used to wrestling guys.
Right. I mean, in terms of, like, size differences and stuff, is there things that, like, because I feel like at some points, like, when you watch you know, high level women's wrestling, there's things that women can do that most dudes just can't, like in terms of flexibility and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think the athleticism is different. You know, like you said, women are usually more flexible, but the guys, I don't know how to describe it. There's like a certain power behind them. That the women haven't quite got. Like, we're different. Guys and girls, they are. I will acknowledge that. And I'm not saying that women are weaker. It's just the way that it comes across in the fighting styles.
Yeah, well, I mean, generally speaking, if you've got less weight to throw behind something, it's not going to look as brutal. You know, I mean, if you have, like, Jonah Rock and Caveman Ugg pounding into each other, compared to, you know, I don't know, like yourself and Izzy Shaw, who are two smaller individuals. Yeah. But then there's always, of course, you know, I like a good big girl match too. Like, someone like Vixen looks like she hits as hard as just about any of the guys.
Yeah. That's the great thing about ACW is that we hit each other. And us girls are constantly telling the guys, like, you know, lock up harder, like, you know, give us forearm harder. Like, that was so weak. Like, just because we're a girl, like, we can actually handle it. So it's also for the guys, especially the new people that come through, it's a barrier that they kind of struggle to break. But once they do, they're like, oh, okay, I can throw around. It's all good.
Yeah, it can be an adjustment period for, especially for new trainees.
Yeah, because it's the whole thing. They're told, you know, real men don't hit women. And we're always trying to tell them, this is wrestling. We're consenting for you to hit us. Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah, and that's it, right? That's the key, is consent. Everything that happens in the wrestling ring is consensual. It's consensual violence. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And especially if there are spots where, you know, you might touch somebody inappropriately, they've usually been consented to. And if they haven't, then they get spoken to.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's not consented to touch Joey Ryan's penis, you know.
Who wouldn't want to touch Joey Ryan's penis, though?
That's got to be a dream match, right? Coming from an intergender background, like, who wouldn't want to work Joey Ryan?
Yeah, no, I really enjoy that character. It's different. I think there's not enough of that. That's why I like the old school wrestling where you had the larger than life characters and they had the crazy costumes and the hair and all of that. I think that's an important element of wrestling and what makes it so great.
Yeah, I feel like, and you know, Australian wrestling has been following it too lately. But the whole trend towards the super indie style with, you know, lots of flips, lots of crazy bumps, and like, I don't want to get like Jim Cornette, like, oh, flips and but like, just in terms of the high spot style, which, you know, and I'm not saying that in a derogatory way because I love it, right? But there's something to be said for being able to get a huge reaction by doing a lot less.
Yes. Yeah. You know, flips and all of that and suiciding out of the ring is all well and good, but if that's all you're doing to just get that one pop, I feel like you're not really working to the best of your capability, because there's a lot of character work involved, and I think that's what people really get behind.
Right, and the risk just keeps going up
it's
and
being
up.
able to tell a story.
Yeah, definitely. And the risk just keeps going up and up. Like here's the thing. As a wrestling fan, I'm completely numb to suicide dives. I am.
Yeah.
Because every WWE break, like every ad break in WWE, is led into with a suicide dive.
Yeah.
And not just WWE, Ring of Honor do it as well. Impact do it. Like it's always suicide dive, we're going to an ad break. And so there's so many of them that now it's like...
And then suddenly they're backflipping over the top rope onto people. And then, you know, it just gets further and further and further until you become immune to everything. And wrestlers are just risking their lives to
so
just get that.
Now we're getting like Canadian destroyers and reverse Hurricane Ranas and stuff on the apron, and it's like, what are you doing? You're gonna die.
Or you'll never walk again.
Yeah, neck bumps terrify me, man, so much. Yeah. But tell us about the ACW Academy. So we touched on it before. Like, you guys have 2 rings crammed into that little room, and you got like a gym out the back there and stuff. How is it training with ACW? Because I know you started your training there and stuff. So.
Well, it's really comprehensive. They have a set kind of course that you have to go through. So you learn how to bump, all your different bumps, all your different like switches and chain wrestling, and then you go through takedowns and all that sort of stuff, and you have to kind of pass that before they'll consider you competent to get into the ring.
Yeah.
Which is good, because I know that, there are a couple of promotions that just go, oh, what do you want to learn? And they're like, oh, we want to learn German suplexes. And so they learn how to do that, but they don't know how to bump properly, and they don't know how to give a clothesline properly. And it's just dangerous.
Yeah, that sounds incredibly dangerous. Learning how to German suplex before learning how to bump does not sound like a good formula at all.
No, and that's why I'm concerned about some wrestlers who I don't want to wrestle because they are unsafe. They haven't been trained properly. But that's the risk you kind of take being a wrestler as well.
Yeah. Is it something that you would speak up about, though? Like, because I know that sometimes in wrestling locker rooms, especially for women, there can be, and it's not necessarily done on purpose either, but somewhat of a culture of fear. Like, you don't speak up because you've got to pay your dues. You don't speak up because, it's just sort of how things are or whatever. Are you happy to speak up about that and just be like, I kind of don't want to work this person because I've watched them and it's unsafe? Or?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right. That's good.
Yeah, if I've seen their work, or if a booker says they want to put me with, I don't know, not a great person, then I would say, I'm going to have to pass on that. I don't feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah. And do you feel like that gets you any heat or anything, or?
Well, it hasn't really happened yet.
Okay.
But I know that I would speak up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because my safety is more important than putting on a match.
Right. Right. Especially at the pay level that you're at in Australian wrestling,
Yeah. Like, I'm really grateful for any opportunity to be able to practice and get in the ring, but if I know that they're really unsafe, I'll pass.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And that's where, like, I've talked about it on the show before with other people, like, getting down, and I know the ACW crew are down there training 2-3 times a week and stuff. And so that it comes down to, like, actually, because there's people out there that are like, oh, I don't need to train, I'm booked on a show. And it's like, well, that's not how it works.
No.
Yeah.
Training is so important.
Yeah. So, something else that's come up a lot on the podcast is like the politics of the Adelaide wrestling scene and how I feel like maybe it's a little bit behind some other states. Like in Melbourne, it feels like, you know, most of the promotions share talent and, you know, the best guys just sort of get more bookings and stuff. But here it's sort of, there's a lot of exclusivity amongst, you know, people who train at places and they get booked on those shows and that's all. And I guess Iron Fist Pro, the big good thing that Iron Fist Pro has done is kind of start to break that down a little, and Adelaide Championship Wrestling are doing that as well. You know, but yeah, can you speak on that at all, on like the exclusivity and how you guys feel about that?
I don't understand this whole exclusivity thing, especially with us women, because there aren't a lot. And we're basically not allowed to wrestle the other women on different promotions. So, you know, how are we supposed to get better, especially if other promotions don't support intergender wrestling? You know, especially women at ACW who want to wrestle other women. We can't because, you know, the other promotions are like, no, you're not from here. We don't want to deal with you.
Yeah, so you guys do the intergender thing almost by default. Like when I was talking to Riley, she said that, you know, you had to do intergender wrestling because there were no other women for her to wrestle because they're not able to take bookings elsewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we want to see an end to that, essentially, and have people be sort of free to work. Do you think it does come down to sort of the safety issue? Like you said, if you're looking at another, do you think a company may have the right to say, do you think your trainers would have the right to say to you, like, you shouldn't work you know, this company because too many of their people are unsafe?
Well, I guess to a certain extent that comes down to what they think is unsafe.
Right.
As well. You know, that's why I think that videos showing your work is a good idea. So you can send that to bookers and whatever so they can see what your skills are at, which I think is pretty standard anyway.
Yeah.
But, you know, if we all know what each other's training schedule's like and how much people are training, I think they should be given a chance.
Yeah, right. Like work ethic should be rewarded.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm 100% with you on that. Now, look, we're running out of time, but what's next? What's next for Violet Blitz? What are your goals for the sort of the rest of 2019? What can we expect?
Well, hopefully I'll be smashing as many skulls as possible. Keep getting booked, and just get better.
Awesome. And where can people find you, for example, this weekend?
Yes, this Saturday, at the ACW Academy, we have Evolve 21, where I am taking on Blair Valentine, which should be very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And tickets are only $10 for these shows, man. Like, it blows my mind because Academy shows, you know, it's a $10 tickets. Can't go past it. And do you have much in the way of social media? You're on Instagram and stuff, right? Where can people find you on the social medias?
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram at Violet ACW, and you can find me on Facebook at the same, at Violet ACW.
Awesome. No Twitter. Australian wrestling needs to pick up its Twitter game.
I don't get Twitter.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. I hate it, but
yeah,
wrestling Twitter's a thing. So, but anyway, so yeah, Violet ACW on Instagram and on Facebook. Thanks so much for coming on the show, Violet.
Thank you for having me.
So there you have it, Violet Blitz. Catch her this weekend at the ACW Academy at Evolve 21. She's got a match against Blair Valentine. That's going to be amazing. If you liked that interview and you like Aussie Grappler interviews in general and you want to listen to more Aussie Grappler interviews, we've got you covered here at the B+, and because we listen to everything. You know, I've got ears everywhere, and I know what's going on. And over on Wrestle Radio Australia this week, Adrian, the promoter for World Series Wrestling, he stopped by to answer some questions. Some of the questions around, of course, why don't we come to Queensland? Why don't we come to Perth? Why don't we always run Adelaide? And these sorts of things. So also, what goes into picking his international talent and his whole philosophy. he lays it bare talking to Todd Eastman there on Wrestle Radio Australia. So definitely check that one out. Davis Storm stops by on the Turnbuckle once again. Always good listening to Davis Storm shoot the shit about wrestling. He covers the EPW show, a whole bunch of other things. Jay Andrews on Talking Stick. Talking Stick is really becoming, I talk about, I want to do it, and I don't talk to many of the veterans as much as I should, because I feel intimidated because I don't know the right questions to ask. JXT, he goes deep, man. He knows the right questions to ask. He clearly goes into these interviews with tons of knowledge himself from being around Australian wrestling. And he had an interview this week with Jay Andrews, and they go into the history with PCW and PWA, when PWA had the alliance where it was PWA Queensland, PWA Canberra, PWA Melbourne, and all the different PWAs, and there was the one in Melbourne that Jay Andrews wrestled with, and of course the formation of MCW and all that stuff gets covered. It's an amazing interview. Definitely check out Talking Stick this week. And if you're stuck for things to watch, I have enough content here for you to replace this week's Raw and SmackDown. So, PWA Wahlberg vs. UGG, that's the first one on the list. You got to check out PWA Wahlberg vs. UGG. It's up on pwaplay.com. Southern Pro Wrestling over in New Zealand. Queenstown Wrestlefest went up. Kane Khan defending the title against Marcus Cool's Career is another one of those matches that's made my shortlist for the end of the year that I will have to rewatch and see where it ranks, because it was an amazing, amazing match. The drama in that match was palatable, and it was very, very enjoyable. You can get that one on SPW On Demand, which, as I've said before, you can get on your iOS App Store on Google Play. Just search SPW On Demand and that'll come up, and you can pay for it right there in your app. It's amazing. Underworld have released some new stuff this week. I haven't quite gotten to it yet. It's only just released tonight as I'm recording this. Underworld 6, the 6th episode of Underworld has released on the Pivotshare. And, of course, Underworld 2 from way back when Underworld was a baby promotion. Underworld 2 has launched on YouTube for free, completely free. So I'll put the link in the show notes, of course. Something else you can check out for free, AAW Anniversary 12, the final all-action wrestling show over there in Perth before the rebrand of Western Pro Wrestling, which takes place this weekend. Anniversary 12, AAW. That show is up for free on Schwa Rewind Pivotshare. I'll put the link in the show notes. Free Grapps. You got just the free stuff this week. Just the free stuff this week is enough to replace Raw. You can replace Raw, SmackDown, and NXT if you watch all this stuff. There's a good 10 hours of stuff to watch here. We've also got Pro Wrestling League, Rise of the Rapscallion. Again, this one only launched tonight. I have yet to watch it, but I'm going to be watching it once I finish editing this and uploading it. Pro Wrestling League, of course, up in Queensland, doing what they can to rehabilitate Queensland wrestling and bring it to the fore, and really focusing on the production values and everything. The first show was up on YouTube. It was very enjoyable, so I'm looking forward to the Rise of the Rapscallion, which is up now. I will put a link in the show notes. Some other things to watch, of course, Matty Wahlberg's killer promo that he did after the match. I mentioned that. That's going to be in the show notes as well. And Managed at First Sight, Riot City Wrestling's little parody of Married at First Sight. The production at times can be off, especially when you come from watching 21st Century Success Story or something, and the production is just ridiculous, on par with anything that you would see on TV. And then, Managed at First Sight is much more like Being the Elite. You can see that it's being shot with mobile phones and things like that. And, but they do a good job with what they've got. And, it's very funny. It's a very funny series, Managed at First Sight, with Jimmy C there looking for his new client, and he's got Stephen Miller and he's got Kurt Barron, and they're sort of, you gotta watch it. He does a whole ceremony at a gym, the weights and rose petals. It's hilarious. Managed at First Sight, link in the show notes. But now let's take a look at what wrestling is going on this weekend. Starting in New South Wales, Saturday night, Newcastle Pro Wrestling 77 at Club Charlestown. Michael Spencer takes on Tanner Moe. Headhunter Rig has requested that he face all the former heavyweight champions in Newcastle Pro Wrestling, and this weekend he squares up with the first ever Nui Pro Heavyweight Champion, Jay Law. Carter Deems is taking on Tyler Payne in an effort to prove he's ready for Matt Rogers. Robbie Eagles and Matt Diamond lock horns once again. Tama Williams and Adam Hoffman. Tickets for this start at $11. So much more is going to go down on the night, of course, and tickets start at $11. In South Australia, my home state, Adelaide Championship Wrestling Evolve 21 takes place this Saturday. Tony Toro makes his ACW debut fresh from his stint at the Lance Storm Academy straight into a triple threat with Lil Onyx and Ace Wilson, who is on a tear in ACW right now. Those chops are terrifying. Blair Valentine and Violet Blitz face off one-on-one. Joey Triton cashes in his #1 contendership for Riley's Evolve title, and so much more. Tickets start at $10. Up in Queensland, Venom Pro Wrestling present Ascension 4 at the Showman's Club in Yatala. Tali is going one-on-one with the Jurassic Punk Sid Parker. This is my most anticipated match of the weekend. If this does not make tape, I am going to be very, very upset because I want to see Tali versus the Jurassic Punk. JL Gold defends the Origins Championship against Richie Taylor. The Brass Ring, a Money in the Bank style contract, will be decided in a 6-man ladder match, and Tim Cade defends the VPW Championship against Spaceman Dacey. All this and more starting at $10. In Victoria, as ever, PCW Ignition takes place on Saturday at the Southeastern Entertainment Centre. PCW presidential candidate Anthony Dangerfield takes over and promises a night that fans will never forget. Tickets, as usual, are $20. On Saturday, Gippsland Pro Wrestling take over Traralgon Sports Stadium for Elevate. Pegaso takes on Campbell Crawford. Andy Rhodes has accepted a handicap match against Muhammad Ali Vaez and Slade Mercer. You gotta wonder what he's thinking there. Sketch, Jake Lindo, and heavyweight Vance Adams will take part in triple threat action. Fox takes on PCW regular Edward Dusk in his first match for GPW, and much, much more. Tickets start at $15. Also on Saturday in Glenroy, New Age Wrestling Pure, Smacks and Manning take on Super Crash Brothers. Jake Wilder defends his South Pacific title against Aiden Miller, Matt Wild, Jet Ruka, and Jake Navarra. Tickets start at $15. And in Western Australia, I touched on it just before, Western Pro Wrestling. The rebranded All Action Wrestling, they've shed the name, they've shed the history, new ownership, new management. Western Pro Wrestling is the new thing, and they're making their debut on the scene with WPW Uncensored at the Civic Hotel. The Australian sensation Craven takes on The Gift. Roxy Riot and Felix Young face off in no DQ action. Mayhem and Harm's Way are having a tag team tables match. Showtime Clyde is returning to action against Pegasus, and Oz is having a fully sick birthday bash. So much more going down at this one as well. Tickets start at $20, and that's what's happening this weekend near you. Make sure you get out, check out the local Grapps, support the local grapplers. I'm gonna keep saying Grapps, guys. I'm gonna keep saying it. I get so many messages about how they cringe every time I say Grapps. Grapps, 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 Grapps. I don't give a crap. That was awful. Anyway, thank you so much for listening, guys. Make sure you get out to a show. Make sure you support your local wrestlers. Buy some merch. Wear some merch. Tell a friend. Like, share, subscribe. You can find me if you want to have a go at me for saying Grapps so much. You can find me at Greg Unchained on Twitter, at the Greg Unchained on Instagram. We collectively are the B+ Wrestle on Twitter, the B+ Wrestling everywhere else. Like, share, subscribe. 5-star review if you like what we do. If you love what we do, please show us some support on Patreon, www.patreon.com/theb+. Big thank you to Ben, who has signed up as our newest Patreon backer. I'm sure you'll be hearing from him soon on our next call-in show. He's been added to the Discord. We're having a good time, and you can get in on it too for as little as $3 a month, up to $10. It's up to you what you want to give. I mean, even $1 a month, I think, is an option. I don't know what the rewards are. I forget. I know it's my thing, but I forget. Go to the patreon.com/theb+ if you want to check it out. If you love what we do, if you want to support this mission of, watch global, support local, that's the place to do it. And as always, thank you so much for listening.
Hold one! Arm drag!
You're not doing this. Get out. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon.
You just made the list!
So, now speak English.
Dummy!
Goodbye and good night.
Hold two! Arm bar!
This is the worst town I've ever been in.
It's still real to me, damn it! Dummy! Hold three! The moss covered!